Good morning, friends. 14 minutes before the top of the hour, women now have the ability to serve in combat zones and special forces. But will they soon be part of the draft? The House Armed Services Committee has voted yes, and now the bill is headed to the House floor. So is that a good idea? We're going to bring in our panel now. Joining us is Penny Nance. She's the president of Concerned Women for America and author of Feisty and Feminine, a rallying cry for conservative women. Morgan Ortegas is the national co-chair of Maverick PAC, and U.S. Naval Reserve Officer Amber Smith, who is a former U.S. Army helicopter pilot. Good morning. Quite the panel we have this morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, thanks for joining us, ladies. Penny, you think this is a good or bad idea?
Well, I think this is a bad idea to force women to serve in combat. I mean, it's one thing if you choose it, right? It's another thing if we're forcing women to do it against their will. And by the way, Anna, this is a Republican mess up, and they're going to have to fix it.
Amber, you're on the other side of the coin on this. What do you say?
No, I think that it's the reality of a decision that was made by Secretary of Defense Ash Carter in December of 2015, prior to him lifting allowing women to try out for those combat roles or those special operations roles. The selective service was a male-only obligation, and in 1981 the Supreme Court found that that male-only draft and selective service requirement was constitutional because that women were prohibited from serving in those combat roles. There was a 1994 review that found the same results, and now that that role has been, or that restriction has been lifted, it now is essentially giving special treatment to women, which women in the military do not want. And so it's basically what we're talking about when it comes to equality. It means all the way across the board. If women are allowed to try out for these positions, they have to sign up for the selective service as well.
Yeah, I guess you're saying you kind of can't pick and choose when you want equality and when you don't. Morgan, you are a bit on the fence. Why?
Well, I'm not really on the fence. I just think we're conflating two issues. No one's been drafted since 1973, and there's actually a bipartisan commission in the Senate that's being formed to look at totally redoing the draft, which I think is important. So if we were to enter a World War III apocalyptic scenario where we actually needed to call our country up, we should be able to call up men and women. But guess what? It doesn't necessarily have to be for combat roles. There's plenty of roles in the military: intelligence, support, medical. So there's plenty of ways that men and women in a World War III type scenario, if we needed a draft, could serve our country, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in a quote-unquote combat role.
And Penny, when one of our guests said that you can't pick and choose when you want equality, and what do you say to that?
Well, listen, we can be for equality, but not lose common sense in this. You know, the years that women sign up, 18 to 25, are peak childbearing years. And let's remember, in World War I and II, the important work women did at home. So in a war situation, women fill all sorts of roles. Someone has to keep the home fires burning. Remember, the greatest generation went to work in factories and did important work at home. And let me just say one last thing. 15%, only 15% of women that are in the military, only of all people in the military, only 15% are women. Women don't generally choose that. Let's do what they want. Let's not force them against their will.
All right, Penny, Morgan, and Amber, thanks for the spirited debate this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a nice weekend. 11 minutes before the top of the hour, still ahead on Fox and Friends Weekend. The latest on this breaking news: Donald Trump's campaign is vowing to sue after another big delegate grab by Senator Ted Cruz. And it's the latest star-studded holiday movie hitting theaters.
Mother's Day stuff, and I start thinking about how I haven't talked to Mom.
Hi.
Oh, I have to say, Jess,
you haven't aged that much.
Thank you.
That much. Is Mother's Day worth your money? Kevin McCarthy's review and interview with stars Jennifer Aniston and Jason Sudeikis.